Hi guys, this is Vinyl Lover here, back with a video. I hope everybody's doing great. Yeah, this time I wanted to do a video on Eric Clapton and all the things he's been involved with musically. And I'm doing it because he has been such a big part of my own musical upbringing and musical education and inspiration. So my father is also a musician, and one of his, I think his biggest musical idol is Eric Clapton. Yeah, also Beatles and Stones and Kings, but in general, I think I have to say that Clapton has always been the biggest. And I also wanted to do it because I kind of think that he somehow is musically misunderstood by many people and many musicians who think he's kind of an old boring fart, and because I think maybe they know him from his 80s stuff and maybe from the Unplugged album and then onwards, and they don't know the whole his musical career that came before, which is for me the biggest part of his musical accomplishments. So yeah. When I was thinking about it, somehow when I was looking at my favorite albums, just in general, Clapton is among is well represented, you could say. So just wanted to show you. There's one of the albums I'm missing because it's at my we have like a summer vacation home, and it's there. I always have a small collection there, and yeah, it's there right now, so I couldn't show it, but I'll get to that. But yeah, let me just show them and then talk about as we go along. So the first one I have is the Yardbirds 5 Live, and I think this was his first official recording when he joined the Yardbirds. And actually, right after recording this, I actually think he left the group before this was released, because he wanted to stay true to the blues. He wanted to play blues music, and they wanted to be more go after like a pop hit, be a pop sensation. So they went more like the 60s pop way instead of keeping it to the blues. So he left, and this is from '64, and then he joined John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, and they did the album John Mayall and the Blues Breakers with Eric Clapton, and that's the one I'm missing. So it's here, and that's actually one of my favorite albums of all time, favorite British blues albums. I just love that album, and his playing is so like in your face, and the sound is just really raw, and his playing is just, I think it's amazing. So that's also another thing. He's not the most technical guitarist, but he really has, for me, the true blues feeling vibe. So then he left John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, and they made Cream in '66, and with Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker, and the first album they made was Fresh Cream in '66. Yeah, and this album was just also groundbreaking, really raw hard rock. Cream is also kind of one of the first hard rock bands as well. I think they were like thunderous loud playing live, so experimental also, and this is quite bluesy, but they later on, the year after, they went to New York and recorded Disraeli Gears from '67, and this is an essential psych rock classic. Strange Brew, Sunshine of Your Love, Tales of Brave Ulysses, and yeah, Mother's Lament. All these songs, this is just, yeah, one of my all-time favorite albums as well. And yeah. And then they did the year after, I think, 68, Wheels on Fire and Wheels of Fire, sorry. And this is the A side is a studio recording with White Room and Sitting on Top of the World, as you said, Politician. And the B side is live recordings, mainly with numbers from their first album, like Spoonful and I think Toad, Born on a Bad Sign, yeah, it's on this one. And the last one they did in 69, sorry, 3-year period. They also released some live albums, but I don't own any of those. And they did the Goodbye Cream album. Yeah, with I'm So Glad and Badge. And actually this one is also the first, I think 3 songs are live, and the last ones are from the studio as well. So, and then the album just, yeah. Then Cream split, and in 69, and the same year he did the Blind Faith project, also with Ginger Baker on drums, and he made it together with Steve Winwood from Traffic, a young Steve Winwood, a musical genius. He plays almost every instrument and has a great white soul voice. This is, I say that about all the albums, but this is definitely also one of my all-time favorite albums. I just love this album. I think it's magical, and the songwriting is just amazing. They played actually the weekend before Rolling Stones played their Hyde Park in 69 concert. The weekend before, Blind Faith played Hyde Park as well. And the whole concert is on YouTube. You can go check it out. It's amazing. I think Clapton's playing is just so delicate and beautiful and well balanced. He doesn't show off. He never shows off, I think. But just the rhythm guitar playing is just phenomenal. So, but I love all these songs. Can't Find My Way Home, Had to Cry Today, Presence of the Lord. Oh, yeah. So, love that. Then that's the whole, one of the reasons I also love him, and I think he's genuine, is because he really always felt connected with the blues and felt different, and has suffered a lot in his life, and one of his greatest love was he was in love with Pattie Boyd, George Harrison's wife, and he actually became best friends with George Harrison, and and actually told George Harrison that he was in love with his wife, and he knew he couldn't do anything about it, and but he was obsessed with this woman, and he actually tried when George and Pattie were still married. He tried to win her over, but she of course said no, because she was together with George. And then yeah, he always had a hard time with dealing with women, and early on turned to drugs and alcohol to make it through, ease the pain, as you say. But one of the things he did Derek and the Dominoes, Layla, and other assorted love songs. And this whole album is a big tribute, a love letter. He's declaring his love to Pattie Boyd on this album. And I watched an amazing documentary on Clapton called Life in 12 Bars, and I can only recommend everyone to see this documentary. It's amazing, and it focuses on him trying to get Pattie Boyd, and he actually, when they finish this album, he returns to England and meets up with her in his apartment, plays the whole album to her, and she still says, sorry, I like you, but we can't be together. And that, of course, crushes him totally. But you can just hear, if you know the backstory on this and know how much he suffers and how much he wants her, you can just hear it in his voice. It's just heartbreaking and beautiful at the same time. And beautiful songs, you know, Bell Bottom Blues and I'm Yours, and there's also some great deal of blues tracks on this. He did his tribute to to Hendrix, who he also became great friends with. He did a tribute, Little Wing, and unfortunately, also Jimmy never got to hear his version of Little Wing before he died. So, and Layla, of course, is on here as well. And yeah, this is an amazing album. Also one of my favorites. So, and after Derek and the Dominoes, and when she turned him down again, he was obviously crushed and turned to alcohol and kind of suicidal as well, and yeah, but he kept on playing. That's all he knew, and he produced a lot of albums. I have some of them here. Oceans Boulevard, what's it called? 461 Oceans Boulevard. Have a live recording. Easy Was Here. With some of the Blind Faith songs on as well. A nice cleavage. He was fascinated by the band and the whole upstate New York Big Pink thing with all the artist plays up near Woodstock. And he did No Reason to Cry with a lot of the artists, some of the band artists, Robbie Robertson. Also think Ron Wood is on this album, and it's just a very chill, rural feeling about this. I really love it. Especially Hello Old Friend, really, I love that song. So, it's a great album. Of course, Slowhand with all the JJK songs, Cocaine. Wonderful Tonight is on this album, Lay Down Sally, and yeah, a lot of some Robert Johnson as well, and he always kept sticking to the blues. But as we enter the 80s, of course, I grew up during the 80s, so I knew a lot of the 80s Clapton because my dad played it. I watched him play Roskilde Festival as well with Phil Collins on drums, and this is the Phil Collins produced album as well. A lot of the big 80s hits on this one. Just the best of. And then of course, yeah, sadly, he had an affair with this Italian model, and they had a son together, and he finally sobered up and wanted to be a good dad to this kid, and then you all know the story about the kid falling out of the window in New York and of course passed away, and he turned to like grief counseling. He grabbed his guitar and just played. Whenever he felt sad, he just played. And of course, Tears in Heaven came out of this, and then he did the Unplugged, and he started the whole I think he was the first one doing the MTV Unplugged thing with this album, and he started a whole new career some years after. Met his new wife, which he's still married to today. They have three children, girls, and he's happily married now. 74, I think he's from, yeah, born in 45. So yeah, I'm just rambling on. I'm going to see him this summer actually with my father and my brother and sisters, and here in Denmark he's playing. So it's going to be great. Just very nostalgic. I hope he's still capable of playing the guitar. So yeah, I just wanted to pay tribute to him. I think he's a great musician, and he means a lot in my musical life, and yeah. So hope everybody's doing great, and see you again soon. Bye.